Hey, everybody, starting the show a little early. John Gums here with Dakota Grappler, coming from the Fargo Dome today, having a special guest, which I've actually wanted on for a long time. Six-time state champion from South Dakota, All-American for the University of Minnesota, doing some MMA stuff and with Bellator, is that correct?
Yep.
And then just been a fan of his for a long time. He was a very aggressive wrestler and nonstop. I always liked his style. Logan Storley, Webster. So here's another thing, Class B, which guess what? I've always been known as a beezer. I don't know if he has been a beezer too his whole life, but that's part of it. Up on the top right, I guess it's Bill Holton. He's my right-hand man. Everyone knows him. He is my college expert guru. We talk wrestling as much as possible. We just got done with a bracket show last night for all the North Dakota brackets for the state tournament. And then in the bottom right corner, we got Scott Andall. He's good buddy of mine, and I always love talking to him. He's been on several times. And so the first thing I'm going to do is you don't need to know nothing about me. We got a short amount of time with Logan, so I'm going to start him off right away. And I want to just ask the first question of, what are you doing now? Tell people what you're doing right now.
So right now I fight professionally for Bellator. I live out in South Florida. And so, yeah, that's what I do for a living full time. Training twice a day and hopefully get the fight in April or May and get everything going again. We kind of got slowed down with COVID, and Bellator kind of switched over to Showtime and did some changes like that. So now we're ready to get going, and then I got 2 fights left on my contract. So we'll see, I guess, after these next 2 fights whether we stay with Bellator or look at the UFC route. So it's kind of what I'm up to.
Do you have a manager, or are you currently ranked?
Yep. Yeah. So I got my agent's from Sioux Falls, Dave Martin. He's a lawyer. And then I'm ranked top 5. So I just fought the guy had lost split decision. My first loss, Amasov from the Ukraine. He's fighting for the title probably. And then top 5. So I'm right there. So hopefully go get a fight and then be right back there. So it stings a little bit, but I guess that's the way life goes, and, go on to the next one. You're just moving on. So,
What would you say percentage wise is your wrestling benefited you for fighting? 100%, 90%? What's the biggest part?
Well, yeah, obviously I use a lot of wrestling in my fights. You got to know everything when it comes to MMA, but I guess the biggest thing for me is just, the work ethic that wrestling taught me since I was 5 years old, cutting weight the right way, eating the right way, just doing little things the right way, showing up on time. Those are things that wrestling shows you, and teaches you. And wrestling, gets exposed at a young age. If you do things the wrong way, it gets exposed as a, 12-year-old, 10-year-old. If you're not showing up, if you're not doing camps, things like that get exposed really young. And so wrestling just, kind of taught you how to do things right and how to outwork everyone. And so that's the biggest thing, I guess, that I can take with me is with MMA is a lot of guys don't know how to cut weight. Maybe guys aren't used to working as hard. There's a lot of talented guys. I'm not saying that at all, that it's just wrestlers, but the wrestlers tend to kind of always be on time and are always ready to work.
Okay, definitely. You got a question for him right away, Bill? Because I
was kind of that's one of those things that I was wondering about, and knowing that had to be a competitive advantage for you. I know coming into that last fight, one thing I was, kind of hanging my hat on for you was, the ability to, take it the whole 15 minutes, and you're obviously going against a good competitor there that was also undefeated, and you knew it was going to be someone's going to lose that fight, right? But that was one of those things that I thought should stand out,
Yeah, no, it was the first time where he was 25-0, I was 11-0, and I pushed him to deep waters. He was exhausted after the fight. He could bear, second round he was sitting down. I thought I did enough to win, but it is what it is. But I know that he doesn't want to fight again at that pace. I was exhausted too, but I know that you can always dig a little deeper, and that those matches I've had in college and high school, and just, I've been pushed a lot, and wrestling, how many ever matches I have in my whole life, you've found that you find out a lot about yourself and how deep you can dig. And so it brought the dog out in me in that fight, and I was able to, push him to the very limits. And and have them exhausted. So
When was the first time you thought about fighting, actually?
I had 3 amateur fights in high school.
Right, I remember that in Aberdeen.
Yep. And then obviously went to college. And then when I got done with college, I knew that's what I wanted to go do. I think it was 16 was the Olympic year. And I was kind of in between 74 kilo and 86 kilo. Burroughs was at 74, and the 86 guys were massive. And so I knew that I wanted to go fight, and I've trained with some really good guys, and I knew I could be very competitive and do it for a living and take care of myself financially. And so that's why I chose that route.
Definitely.
What weight class are you fighting?
170.
And so is that a real hard cut for you now, or is it kind of the same type? I was wrestling 74 in college.
Yeah, no, I definitely got a lot bigger. I walk around about 90 to 95 now, cut down to 170, but I only have to do it 3 times a year,
Right.
College.
And Bellator, is that day before?
Day before in the morning. So
in the morning. Okay.
With college, it was twice in the same weekend.
Right.
So, and an hour before the duels. And so it's a lot easier, I guess, recovering compared to college.
Yeah. So who are your training partners now when you're,
Yeah, so I work out with Robbie Lawler. He wrestled in high school. Mike Chandler, All-American. Usman used to be in our gym, Division II national champ. I was just out with Burns for the Usman fight, and Gilbert's a great wrestler. BJJ black belt. So we spend a lot of time. Pat Downey's down here now. Darian Caldwell. Greg Jones is my wrestling coach, 3-time NCAA champ. It's just full of, we got a lot of great wrestlers that were Division I All-Americans, Division I national champs, guys on the world team now with Downey. So he's a main, drilling partner of mine, even though he's mostly, he's training wrestling strictly right now. But it's got a lot of really good guys and a lot of guys that are BJJ guys that also, are fighters that have great wrestling too. And so kind of help each other out with that. So it's fun to see the different styles and kind of mix the two a little bit. And they've helped me a lot with just scrambles. I went back and wrestled with the college guys, obviously this year with COVID, I haven't, but I find some little different things I put in my wrestling now with the grappling aspect, and it's helped me. So it's fun, just to go back, and I guess there's no pressure now with the wrestling. It's just having fun and wrestling the college guys. So,
okay. Scott, you got a question for him?
Yeah. When it comes in, Logan, what's your sights? What do you want to do? You stay in the MMA, help out, coach, stuff like that, or you got other things? Yeah.
No, I always wanted to coach Division I. That's what I've always wanted to do. And then obviously wrestling, when I got into MMA and everything else, but it's just tough right now there's a lot of politics in Division I sports, and I don't know, that's for me, but no, right now I do real estate investing, and so that is kind of what I do when I'm not training. And so the business side of, outside of athletics is what I've kind of been doing. So I'll continue to do that and maybe take it to the next level and maybe look at things like that. Otherwise, it'll be a lot of continuing to train. I hope to have, another 6-7 years left fighting. So I'm 28, and a lot of these guys that are winning belts are 32, 33, 34. So it's a little different sport than wrestling, where we're starting to see the younger guys really start to take over. Whereas fighting, it's still a lot of guys that are older are still doing really well. Just you're not getting to fight every weekend like wrestling. Wrestling, you can shoot from here to here in one season, while fighting, sometimes you only fight once a year, twice a year, 4 times a year is a lot. Well, it's hard to get to that absolute peak when you're only competing a couple times a year. And so that's why I think older guys you see that have been in there, made the walk to the cage, got in there, just, you get used to it. And so with wrestling, you have a bad match, you get to go back out there a few hours later at that same tournament and go beat the same guy maybe. Mm-hmm. Fighting him, you may never fight the same guy ever again in your whole life, your whole career. So that's why I think it's a little different. But yeah, I hope to have a long career, and then we'll see. I love. I got a wrestling academy down here. I partnered with Sanford here in Florida, so I'm coaching and doing some really good things, and I'm enjoying it. And it's nice to be back in the wrestling world. Me and Greg Jones kind of doing that together. So it's a lot of fun, and so I'm back in the wrestling world a little bit, I guess. It's not being back in South Dakota and seeing everyone at tournaments and doing that, but I guess it fills the void for now.
Okay. Is there such a thing as a big payday for you in the Bellator? Is a belt a big payday so you could, retire?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, so it's it's definitely the higher you get, the more you can make, and so for me it's just trying to get to this next contract, and like I said, it's probably, if I would have won that last fight, probably be fighting for the belt, and so now we got to go back to the drawing board and go put together 2 good fights and see where we're at, whether we re-sign with Bellator or not. And but yeah, that's the goal, is to get closer to that belt, and I'm right there. So it's just it's a tough. I mean, that's athletics, that's college wrestling, that's high school wrestling, that's anything. So
Bill and I have discussed this in the past because we see these RTC events. I don't know if you've paid attention to that. But wrestling is one of these sports where there's never been money, and it's and really you could be a stud and you're broke, and you got to move on with your life. So it's very tough at that next level. And now we have some events for some of these younger guys where they're starting to compete and getting a little bit of money. Now it's not a lot, but we started to see, 20,000 for this event, different things. So I don't know. I think wrestling, COVID has done something. Bill and I have both discussed that maybe they're going to open something up so you can at least wrestle and not.
And with the RTCs paying their athletes monthly, their stipend, and the USA Wrestling stipend being top 3, and then guys with sponsors, small sponsors are taking care of them, and then now these events. Whereas if you could go wrestle twice a year and show up and make 10 to 20 grand plus your RTC money plus if you're top 3, well, all of a sudden you can wrestle for a living. And so that's what the RTCs are really giving guys an opportunity to do. But the only thing, it's been scary right now with, COVID. I know a lot of programs are, having to, a lot of fundraisers got axed this year. And, and the golf outings, the galas, Minnesota lost the Christmas tournament. That was our biggest one. And I'm sure that cost, thousands and thousands of dollars. And now you take it across a smaller program, RTC, that's just starting. Well, now you're in trouble. And so if we can get through this next year, and we'll be, I think we'll be okay. I think the RTCs will be fine. So, but it's a scary time for even big programs, even big RTCs. So we need helps when, everyone can chip in a little bit and do this and do that and keep those programs running.
Well, we did notice too that, there's a huge expense for these guys testing. And so I know these colleges, we've talked to many of the coaches, and they're talking, $30,000-$40,000 worth of testing. And that money's just not easily there if you've missed all your fundraising. But I want to talk more about your beginning of your career, going back to high school stuff. Now, who do you remember going back? And I like name tossing, some of these guys going back into South Dakota. When you were a kid, was there anybody you looked up to in South Dakota that was a wrestler? And who are some of your main competition as you went through high school?
When I was young, I guess, obviously I had, Dave Shealy and Brent Fosheim, and then, Dan Bonte, I loved watching him wrestle. And kind of, Jimmy Marks, guys that were winning it. And I like watching Dan just because of, his style. And but yeah, there was a lot of there. I remember being, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, going to the state dual tournament still and wrestling everybody. all of us young guys that were there were wrestling each other from other towns. And but it was a lot of fun. And I just remember being stacked. I remember looking back at brackets and just those brackets were loaded with all kinds of great guys. And so it was fun to watch and see those battles. Obviously I haven't, I watched the state tournament, on YouTube or whatever it's on now. And so I watch it each year, but I don't know the depth everybody as much as I used to. But no, it's fun. It's fun to see kind of how things have changed and techniques changing and where guys are at. So, but yeah, no, I guess I don't know, what was your other question?
Well, that was the main thing. Just high school wise, who were some of the guys that were the toughest that you had to wrestle going as you went through the brackets?
Oh, for me,
because you never had kosher back then.
Kokesh.
No.
Kokesh, yeah.
Me and Kokesh wrestled once. Me and Braden Isis wrestled for state finals twice in a row. Darren Kriz, my 7th grade year.
Oh, yeah.
Was tough matches. Brock Edgar beat me my 8th grade year, and then I beat him at NECs, regions, and then overtime in the state finals. Then, junior, senior year, I had that loss to
West Fargo.
Preston Lehman.
Preston Lehman.
I wasn't going to bring that up. Don't worry. I wasn't going to say
no, it was. I learned a lot about myself.
The old tornado, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was. It's one of those things where I guess at that point in my life, in my career, I hadn't lost a lot, especially in South Dakota. I hadn't lost since 8th grade year. But it just kind of sharpened me up.
Yeah,
for that state tournament. Because it was just, man, this can happen. And so it was one of those things where you go back to the drawing board and kind of say, all right, I got to stay focused for all 6 minutes or all, while I'm still out there on the mat. And I kind of lost my, his last takedown, going in for a takedown to tech him, and, got lazy for a second. And he was good there. I knew that, but made a mistake. But I think it was good for my overall career. Just to sharpen everything up right for that last state title and, push through and go win that 6th one.
When did you know you were going to go to Minnesota?
That was a tough conversation with my parents, with the coaches. It came down to Nebraska and Minnesota, went back and forth. And then really what I like about Minnesota is I love the team. The guys and me got along, and that's what it comes down to college wrestling is those are the guys you're going to spend every day with, guys that you're going to live in the dorm with, and then you're going to do everything, practice and, activities outside, going to class. And it was a good click with the whole group. And I knew we had a shot to win a national title as a team. And that was important to me. We won 3 national dual titles. We never lost to Penn State in a duel. We
That's a good one.
we went 3-0 against them. We beat Iowa every year at the national duels. Okie State, all the top teams. We always had a good run. And my junior year, I think we lost by 4.5 points. But we were close. 2nd, 3rd, 2nd, 6th. I think we got as a team. We were right there. And so, but also the coaches. And the thing I love about Minnesota is everybody stays there. It's the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis. So guys stay in Minneapolis. There's a lot of job opportunities. There's a lot of just alumni that are there that can help you afterwards. And a lot of the other schools, it's just a college town. So not everyone's there. And that was the thing I noticed when we went to a football game, recruiting visit. That's what you always do. Go to a football game in the fall. And it was all these older guys, Hartung, Jared Lawrence, just multiple national champs, guys that were part of the teams that were all there still, that are all involved in the program, and guys, that came in and wrestled. And I never saw that at any other program. I've never heard anyone else talk, about that many guys staying in a city, in a college town, and being involved in the program. And now that I'm done, when we went back for Big Tens, 2019, Minnesota, I mean, there was all of us were there because most of us, I guess I didn't, but most of them lived in Minnesota. And afterwards, after the duels, that's what I loved about Minnesota, was that the boosters were amazing. All the guys still, that were 40 years old still cared about that program more. They still want to see you do well. And just like, me now, I try to get back, and they help me get in the drill and wrestle with those guys. But it's a big family, and I didn't really get that as much in other places that I looked at, and so that's why I chose Minnesota.
Well, I tell you what, it's a family.
Yeah,
it is a family. Yeah, definitely. Okay, Scott, I'm going to ask you a couple questions because I know this is going to go quick because you got to go too. Tell me the last end of your season, what's happening, and any new news for South Dakota wrestling. What's happening, both Class A and Class B?
Just big news this last week was our regions are cut down to 50% attendance. So we got lucky. We were down in Freeman, and they always do a good job, but their gym's smaller, so they were only going to get 500 attendance. That includes wrestlers, coaches, stats, cheerleaders, everything. So they ended up moving it to our place, to Salem Central, because we can hold about half of our capacity is about 890. So now we little home mat advantage to us. We're going to try to take advantage of that. And our season, we McCook Central Montrose, we had a great season. We were on a roll, and like I mentioned before we got on earlier, we just the injury bug hit us. We usually don't get it, but we got it bad. But luckily, the last kid, he got cleared Monday morning and started practicing Monday. And so we'll put all our 13 out. We filled 13 out of 14 weight classes, and all the varsity guys will be back in the lineup. Different is the girls wrestling. We had one girl come out this year, 7th grader. I actually seen her on the football field reffing junior high football one day, and I was like, I thought it was a boy. She was running over everybody. And today's world, the hair's coming out of the helmet. I just thought it was a boy, and they told me, my wrestlers told me, no, she's a girl. And so I talked to her at the end of the season, and she said, yeah, I'll try it. So she gets to go to her state tournament this next weekend, because we just, like I said, we separated it. So instead of trying to figure out who qualified, we took all Class A, Class B girls. So we're looking forward to this weekend. I got some older kids. The Kraus kid, really good at 82. I mean, I got a lot of kids I can mention. I just don't have time right now. But we got a 132-pounder. Got a freshman, Jackson Remmers. I think he's got a good shot. He's coming off the injury bug, but he's been back on the mat at least for about 2 weeks practicing. So, we think he has a shot at the title. He's won a lot of matches already as a freshman, like 130. And so hopefully he can, last year he got 4th, and the year before as a 7th grader, he got 6th. So I'm like Logan, I'm going through my first 7th grader ever. That could be our like, no 6-time state champ, but he could be our first kid that could be our first 6-time place winner. And like I said, if we can get going this year, hopefully maybe he could win 3-4 titles. Got a young kid at 6, an 8th grader, sat behind that Dakota Buck last year at 106, a junior, and now it's his turn, and he's doing good. He's 41-5. He should be near the top. And then that senior Buck kid moved up to 13. We're hoping to get him on the podium this year. It's his final year, senior year. And 20, we got a little 8th grader, Scrapper McGregor. Try to get him to state tournament. 26, we have a little Remmers. Be Weston. He placed as a 7th grader last year, 6th place. So we hope to get that, if not improve. Another one coming off injury. After Jackson at 32, we jump to 45, Carter Randall. He's the one that just got cleared the other day. We're just hoping to get him back to state tournament. He's been there as a 7th and 8th grader. Now he's a freshman. But, yeah, we hope he gets on the podium. 52-60, we have a couple, a freshman and an 8th grader. Losing records, inexperienced, but this first year varsity for them full-time, and they'll scrap away. We'll see what happens. 70, we got a freshman. He's had a very good year. I look forward to him. He in and out of the rankings, but I can see should punch his ticket to the state, but I can see him on the podium also. I mentioned 82, Jacoby Kraus, our senior. He struggled early, come off a big football season, rushing, I don't know, he was set some record, but kind of struggled early, and then he has not lost since the first of the year. Avenged every single loss he has. We're hoping that he can be a state champ. And then 95 of Austin Hoyton, first-year varsity kid for us, been sitting behind the end whistle, the Gessners and the Cheesemans for all these years. And I think another one who should punch his first state tournament in as an outside shot, get a medal. 220, we got Isaac Pault. Hope to try and get him through first sophomore, first state tournament. But he's got a tough weight class. In our heavyweight, he has a tough weight class, Elliot Chase. Same thing. We were just trying to punch him through. But Team-wise, we're hoping to, everybody knows Canton's the favorite to win it. Canton's either in our region. We've done it 3-4 times in the last 5 years, and we're hoping to at least be second behind them. And then at state, we're hoping to get on the podium. Dual-wise, we did qualify. At least this year we don't face Canton round one. So, yeah.
You got the 5 seed or the 4 seed? I can't remember.
We got the 4 seed, and we wrestled Redfield, the 5 seed. We beat Redfield 35-30. Tight duel back in January. I'm an honest coach. We pulled a couple upsets, so we'll see what happens this next time go around. So, but it'll be exciting. And so, like I told some dads, I said, I'm telling you, yeah, they asked me, so you're saying we got a fighting chance this year? I said, yeah, we do. Because in South Dakota, we take 8, but they don't medal. They only medal. We didn't know this about shortly after Christmas, they said they were just going to do the top 2. And then us coaches were like, wait a minute, we thought we decided, and they ended up they're going to do the top, just like last year, top 4. So you got to win that first match, you're one and done. Okay. Something I wish we would do is get back to, I'd like to see it all wrestled out. If I'm taking all my kids there, like next week, all the way to Rapid City, the kids that don't make the individual state tournament, I like to get more than one match,
Right.
So I wish they'd wrestle it out. I'm anxious to see North Dakota this weekend. So I believe you moved your duels to Saturday, right?
Correct.
Okay. That's what we want. I mean, we got some teams you've heard, Philip, some of the good other teams that are opted out of the dual tournament. I think
because they're worried about the individual.
Yes. And if we could get Saturday to be our duels, that'd be great. I'm anxious if you guys like it and keep it. I think we have a good chance we could try push that through next year.
Okay, well, that sounds good because I tell you what, it's a test for us, and we also qualified everybody, and that's the brackets are big, but it's interesting. Okay, well, Bill, I want you to ask some questions. I know Scott's got to go and Logan's got to go shortly.
Yeah, Logan, I wanted to talk a little bit about your run at and some of the stuff that you did at the NCAA tournament, and go back a little bit. You mentioned that you wrestled Kokesh once in high school. Yep. You guys had some battles in college, and I was wondering how much history there was before that. Two guys that wrestled a lot alike, I thought, and some great matches to watch. You guys could have wrestled every day. I would have watched.
Yeah, I know. We think we wrestled 6-7 times. He beat me first year. He beat me for 3rd and 4th sophomore year. I beat him twice junior year. I beat him in the quarters, and then I beat him for 3rd and 4th. And then senior year, he beat me for 3rd and 4th. Wrestle, I beat him in a duel. Then he beat me at Big Tens. I think 5 of them were overtime.
I was just going to ask that. I remember there was a lot of overtimes.
Yeah, overtime or double overtime almost every time.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, it was it was a lot of fun. We knew each other. We wrestled once or twice as youth in the state tournament, and then I spent a lot of time with him in high school. We trained together. Went out to Wagner. He came up to Webster, trained. So we had a lot of battles in the room, out at the farm, and so we wrestled a lot, and so we wrestled that first high school match. But I think me and him, he was by far the better wrestler compared to Matt Brown and Mike Evans.
Yep.
And Perry was very good, but I thought me and Kokesh were definitely better wrestlers than Brown, and he lost to Wilps. We kind of, I don't know, got in our own way and slowed things down because we wrestled those guys so many times. And so he figured it out with Evans and started to beat up Evans, and Evans somehow always beat me by 1 point at the end after I beat him the first few times. And then Wilps, I think I majored Wilps, and then, Kokesh lost to Wilps. And so it was just a weird, once you wrestle those guys that we're all in this, high level, you slow things down, and I slowed things down too much. And, that's something I look at, and I don't argue with anyone, compared to the way I wrestled in high school, national tournaments everywhere, as I opened up a lot. So, but no, it was a lot of fun, and he was a great competitor. So, I always sucked having to wrestle your buddy for third and fourth or go, for in nationals every year. But I get, that's the way it goes. And you get over it, shake hands, and afterwards it is what it is. So, but no, it was I had a lot of fun, during my career, and, to be the 10th 4-time All-American for Minnesota meant a lot to me.
Yep.
Never to win it, that hurt. That's why I think I'm fighting. Is just because I still had that. I wanted to go win gold, and
right.
Obviously got to do it in many things in high school with state and national tournaments in Fargo and this and that. But it definitely stung not getting it done in college, and so now I need to go get it done here and fighting.
Yeah, what was that like, the transition and spending time, fighting? I mean, I'm guessing that you're spending time jiu-jitsu training, submission type stuff. Is how was that transition? Just with the amount of body control and work that you've done through the years.
I guess transition from high school to college. The first match was I won my first open, and then I lost to Spangler from Iowa State. I had a high ankle sprain. And so I was out for a little bit, and Spangler was ranked 4th, but that was the first big duel. And that's when I think I lost 5-4, and he was ranked 4th in the country. But the speed was different. The speed, how strong and how physical guys were, the hand fighting. So that definitely kind of took me, 2-3 weeks. I've always found a way to win those other matches. Then I found a way to start winning the big matches. And I won a lot of matches, was second in the Big Ten as a true freshman, and figured it out how to really, win those tight matches. But then transitioning from college to my first pro fight, there was a lot of nerves. Just, I've been in the biggest stage, wrestling in Iowa, Penn State, 15,000 people, sold out arenas, wrestling the top guys in the country. And but that first pro fight took I think first 4 was when the nerves and, kind of, and then now it's just, this is what I do,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, this is what I do for work. So I show up and I work for 15 minutes and that's it. And so now it's, I'm used to it. It's not, like I said, I just fought one of the best guys in the world, and it is what it is. But that's how you kind of have to look at it. It's just another guy. And so that's kind of, I guess, my 2 cents for the guys getting ready for the state tournament and regions, everything else. Is, as J-Rob told me, at the end of the day, tomorrow the sun's going to rise and, life's going to go on. And so that was something that I guess kind of really stuck with me was, when you're young, you kind of you make state and regions, everything seem bigger than it is. At the end of the day, you're going to go out there and compete as hard as you can for 6 minutes, and life goes on. And so I think as long as you go out there and you kind of you compete as hard as you can, whether you lose, you get beat up, it doesn't matter. As long as you competed for 6 minutes at a maximum effort, I think you're going to be happy with that looking back at it. And so that's my only, my biggest
great advice for the wrestlers you're giving them.
Yeah, and I think sometimes I needed to hear that as a young guy. I had a lot of pressure. Each state tournament was like, life's gonna, it's gonna change everything, and really it wouldn't have. Obviously, it was a lot of fun to get to go win 6. But I think the biggest thing is just competing at the highest level. Because that guy's nervous too. That's going to go rescue the number 1 ranked guy. He's just as nervous, if not more nervous. You know, and I can tell you from my end. And so to the guys that are probably the dark horse and unseeded, it doesn't matter. And so that's kind of my 2 cents is go out there and open it up. My biggest regret from college wrestling is not opening up more, taking more risk. And I wrestled as hard as I could, but I didn't take as many risks as I should have. And that's my only regret is that. Yeah. It wasn't the losses. It wasn't not winning it. It was just not opening up as much as I should have because you're afraid to make a mistake. And, that's human nature. But I wish everybody the best of luck. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's, sun's going to rise and you're going to go about your life. So you might as well enjoy the time because it's going to go fast and enjoy it.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah. That's one thing. Just, Randy Lewis kind of mentioned that when he talked to Lincoln McIlravy after losing a I don't know, 2-1 match or something. You know, he said, "Man, how many matches have you lost where you scored 15 points?" You know, not very many, right? I mean, that's I think you know, there's a lot of that, and it happens a lot at the state tournament, right? There's a lot of pressure, guys get tight, and that's great advice. And I know one thing that, you know, we all know, and we know it, you know, and really it's even bigger in the MMA world. You hear it or you see it, just nobody gets out unscathed, right? I mean, there's people lost, people lose. I mean, it's, and you know, we talked about a couple weeks ago with Shane Sparks that Mark Hall had made had tweeted something that, you know, people lose, it's no big deal, bro. You know, just that's what happens. You know, I mean, it's you battle and you just go on. So, great advice.
Well, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're really short and you have to go and do other things, but I will have you on again just to BS and to talk wrestling. I know I've got a ton of questions. This is pretty new for us too. We do have 100 and some shows in, but we're just picking up some bigger names. I'd like to have you on again if you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would enjoy that. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and good luck to all the North Dakota and South Dakota wrestlers, and have fun.
Okay, well, thanks again.
Yeah,
appreciate it, Logan.
Thanks. Take care.
You have a great night. You. Well, Bill, let's stick on for a couple seconds. They want to kick me out of the dome. Somebody came up and started.
Okay, turn the lights off on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can stick for a couple seconds. I just wanted to kind of say, you know, thanks. He was a great. I enjoyed his wrestling, even going back to high school, because he seemed nonstop. Like he had a goal, and his goal was to be the top. You know, and he shot for it. You know, it's one of those things. Some people forget that people make goals that are not big enough.
Yeah.
And they're successful at those not big enough goals. You know, he was shooting for the biggest. He wanted to be national champ. He was looking at University of Minnesota, you know, because he wanted to be at the top of that class. And it was just crazy that you end up getting 2 South Dakota boys wrestling all the time.
It was
at a high level.
Yeah. Well, you know, he said that if, you know, it sucked that you had to wrestle your buddy, you know, at the national tournament, the Big Tens, everywhere else, you know, but, you know, for us in the Dakotas, it was awesome, you know, but I'm a Minnesota fan, and I'm a Logan Storley fan. And, you know, honestly, he hit it right on the head. He did have a tendency to get a little bit tight and slow it down. And he knew, it's like, man, there's just another gear. And one thing I've always talked about was, the best wrestlers should wrestle more, right? Just keep it going, and everything will work out. If you give up a takedown or whatever, you're going to get it back because you're the best wrestlers, you know. But and I hope that the guys this weekend kind of think about that. You know, there's no reason, you know, if you've been, you know, to slow these things down. I mean, if you're the best wrestlers should always wrestle more, because that's how it works out best. So.
Yeah, the thing you had talked about, the fantasy wrestling, I'd done it the 1 year, and I did not have him. And I don't know, he had close to like 20 bonus points one match. It probably was his junior year, I think. I remember, and I'm going, wow, how come I didn't think of doing that? Because I'd pick a guy that win a lot of matches but didn't get the bonus points. I think you've done the fantasy wrestling too, I think.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
You'd have been a good one. I remember because he had a decent amount of pins. Tech Falls was like, he was one of the leaders all the time in the Big Ten in Tech Falls that year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And I wish I could have asked.
Great guy. I've been following him in Bellator, and I think, you know, he'll probably make that jump to the UFC next, and I would surely, you know, he's a guy that can be competitive.
Contracts must be good enough that you can, you know, live. You know, that's.
Oh God, yeah.
And so I've never looked at what kind of money they can make, but that's kind of why I said, can you get a big payday? You know, it's because there's a reason to do it too. You know, he's a businessman. And he's figuring out that way too, you know, being able to train and do some wrestling and start a little wrestling academy. I think, you know, his heart is there. His heart is in wrestling.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. You can tell he loves the sport, and he's, you know, he's another one. It'd be nice to keep him around and, you know, doing stuff in the wrestling game. Well,
I did take a couple notes at the state wrestling tournament. They had a little meeting with the coaches in front of me. And so I'm going to pull up my notes. It's nothing major. I know they had a couple kids drop out. So 132-pound weight class in Class A might change a little bit. There are a couple wrestlers that dropped out there. The biggest one on that list was Ethan Dennis from Watford City, which is a ranked wrestler. And then in Class B, there was one that was, I think, was getting out at. I didn't hear the weight class, but it was I think I don't know what town either I was from, but I kind of heard that off to a distance. Everyone was wearing masks. They do have a mask mandate in Fargo still. They didn't clear that. They had just a emergency kind of session because they knew this was coming actually to town. And so people in the stands will be asked to wear masks as much as possible. People down on the floor, I don't think they're going to really, how could you say, monitor the stands, but people down the floor, they're going to have to wear masks pretty much. Broadcasters, and if they're not broadcasting, then they need to have masks. But if they're speaking, that's fine on their point. They said there is a podium that's going to happen, which is kind of good news, but it's not an official. Here's what's interesting. They're going to set it up and they're going to have it off to wait one far end, and they're still figuring that out. They still got about a day to do that, but they are going to have some type of podium, but they said they can't guarantee every kid's going to be there. But if the coaches kind of all met together and said, hey, guess what, send your kids over there, if you're going to do it, they kind of want them in official gear still. They don't want like somebody wearing Matt Pack gear instead of having their Bismarck High gear on, that type of official high school stuff. So then when they do take a picture, it would be nice, because the main guy for the High School Activities Association said they're not going to require it, but the guy at the Fargo Dome says they're going to make sure they have it set up so they can still do it. But they're going to do it on the one end. Now, in the Fargo Dome, they got it lengthwise instead of kind of the east-west versus that is now, let me think about how this is set up. It's more east-west than north-south or whatever now. It's the long way. And it is spread out. I tell you what, to be able to watch one match on the other side, and all the fans are on one side, the other long side it's like you're at a football game and you're on the Bison football side of the football field, and you'd have the two end zones. And it's like on the goal line on one side are 2 mats, and the goal line on the other end are 2 mats. And they work it this way. And there is probably, let's count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yards at least between every mat. So there's a lot of space in between. There's no seats down the bottom. As coaches usually sit on the bottom and around the outside. They don't have any seats for the coaches. Which
really?
I'm amazed there. They said, well, if they're done, they can go sit up in the stands. I'm going, God, wrestling coaches can't go that far away because they could have a guy up and they got to cruise across the whole gym. They got to watch stuff. Or you have the team that has 4 or 5 guys there, but everybody on the team's there, but then loses out. God, you don't want to go sit down somewhere else. You want to stay close and watch the wrestling. So I think they're making a mistake there. This is still, the coaches work hard enough to be there, and they're not going to cause any problems. They're going to have masks on. They want the wrestlers during the duels, if they're not wrestling or getting ready to wrestle, to wear masks. Let's see what else. March 30th, the High School Activities Association is having a vote to sanction girls wrestling, and kind of a straw poll. It looks like it will go through. Thumbs up, he says. It looks really promising. So on the 30th of March, we'll find out on that, and they believe they will sanction it. It's positive, very positive out of the High School Activities Association. 9:30 tomorrow morning, there is a Class A coaches meeting, but guess what? Still, they're not going to be here, some of them. Bismarck and those guys aren't leaving until 8 o'clock out of Bismarck, so they're not going to be here. So it made no sense tomorrow to have a Class A coaches meeting when, there's no Bismarck coaches here. They didn't allow any of the coaches to travel. So they're not even here tonight. They're kind of talking, where are the Class A coaches? they didn't even know that they couldn't be at the coaches meeting tonight. So all the Class B coaches were here. Saturday duels, make sure that everybody is there and registered 8 o'clock in the morning, because they double check their brackets. There are no weigh-in sheets. So the coaches, if they don't know that are sitting at home, if any Class A coaches are watching this, if you're going to change your dual team, you have to make sure that everything is right by 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. That's what Mandy had said. Mandy had said that, she doesn't need the dual weigh-in sheets, none of that. All that is on Saturday. So make sure just make sure you clear that whoever is going to be on the dual team, because that can change, she says. It's not official till Saturday morning. If you have to make a change, it has to be done before 8 o'clock. Those are the main announcements. Other than that, they're just going to be ready to wrestle. And tomorrow, it does start at 195.
Yeah.
And so 195 is the beginning weight class. Those are the guys that check in first and weigh in first. And they're doing kind of on the west side of the building. That's where all the buses have to drop off their wrestlers. Everything stays on the west side. All the fans are on the east side. And so they're going to be separated, and they don't even want them pretty much to interact much. So if your kid is on the far side and needs some meal money, you got to meet them out on the outside somewhere, or some Dippin' Dots or whatever they need for the day. So just pay close attention. I will do updates. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day, but yet it's not going to be busy because we don't have television stuff tomorrow. let me think. Thursday. No, you and I go busy Friday, and
Right.
busy Saturday. And feel free, guys, if you need to comment or need to, let's say, not make comment, but they're TV wise. Somebody asked the question, will it be on TV? Okay, now there is some stuff that will be on. Every table does have a camera, but that's not on television. That is going to be streamed by the NSHS, the National Federation of High Schools. You can go on and there'll be links, but they usually cost a charge, and they are mic'd up though. So you can hear what's happening, but there's not going to be, let's say, commentating on those. It's very disheartening, but that's for all the regular matches. Now, when it comes to the finals will be on television in North Dakota through Beck. And you can go, there's a whole big schedule on that. And in fact, you can check things out on Dakota Grappler. I just got a link. They're not going to have official, one more announcement. They're not going to have official state booklets. Okay. And so you can't purchase this year's state booklet. They do have a PDF though that they sent to the media, and so I put a link to it on the Dakota Grappler. So if you want to get the state tournament booklet, and I'll share a page here real quick, just let me share share a screen. Okay, it says allow. Yep, select the screen. I want entire screen. What, there's something different. I've got something. I don't want to select that one. Select the entire screen. I've got something different coming up. I usually have a different choice to pick, but you can go over to Dakota Grappler. Let's see if I can do this. Pick this. If something else comes up, tell me, Bill. Open system preferences. I don't know what's happening. You can't probably. Good. Can you see it there?
No. I don't have a screen.
Okay. Well, what I do is I do have the state tournament booklet that you can take a look at, and it is on Dakota Grappler. So you can get the state booklet, and for some reason I'm doing this from, maybe I'm doing the wrong browser. I'm doing Firefox. That's my problem. I usually do everything on Chrome, and then it goes right over.
Let's take a look here. So it's on the website?
Can you share it from your end?
I can if I just find it here.
Yep, it's on my website. Because I'm using the wrong browser from the dome here.
Okay, let's see here. So it would be. Oh, there it is.
And then there's a link. And then people can get the state tournament booklet. And actually, it's got some real great information, which I looked in there, and they have the returning state placers in there by and what they are this year versus last year. Like they placed at 113 and they're wrestling at 132. There's a nice 2 sheets in there that I will be using as data, which I know a lot of it, but I wish I'd have had it for our little thing last night. It would have been so much easier to look because it's all on a nice sheet there. Okay, here we go. Add this to the stream. Okay, now there's the state tournament booklet first, but if you click onto that, Bill's almost got it there.
Let's see. Let's look here.
You just scroll down. Yep, just click on there's a little link right underneath the book there, that blue link.
Oh, right here, yeah.
If you click on that, get rid of just hit close in the upper corner or whatever, close that. Yep, close, yep.
There we go.
And it'll pop open. There it is. There's the state booklet. And it's free for everybody as a digital copy.
I will put that link in the show over here in the chat as soon as we're done here. So
okay,
can't put it in there.
That is awesome. As you do that, definitely you can see the put that up there so people can see. They can pick it up on and Facebook and all the other places too, because I got that sent to me to the media to get it out.
Yep, I will put it in there here as soon as the show's over.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well,
yeah,
I am excited. That's exactly what I was going to say. And I tell you what, anything you need, just holler along the way. I will check my email throughout the day, john.gums@gmail.com or dakotagrappler@gmail.com. You can make comments. I'm going to try to do a couple updates throughout the day. If I hear any news, I'll come back on here and just do some live stuff on Facebook. I know a lot of people are coming, but a lot of people won't also, especially on a Thursday. There's a lot of people who won't come till Friday, and Friday morning is going to be crazy. Semifinals Friday morning at 8 or 8:30 is going to be nuts in Class B. If this place isn't rocking here by 7:30 in the morning for Class B fans, it's going to be like you better bring coffee and donuts or or there's going to be some all-nighters come from Thursday night. Some Class B people coming in. I'm thinking without any sleep. Expect to get an afternoon nap in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing about the streaming that's on the NFHS website, I think it's like $10.99 a month, and you can cancel anytime. So if you pay your $10.99, you can watch the whole thing, and then of course the finals, both the Class A, Class B, and the dual finals will all be on Beck. And so there's possibility. Obviously, if you don't have Beck, right? If you're out of the state or you're somewhere else, you can still watch the streaming, I believe.
Yep.
Finals. So
right, it should be streamed through Beck too. You should be able to get it on your computer. So definitely, Jeremy Kruger, thanks for coming on. I saw that Jim come on for a little bit. Jim's wife is from McCook, same place as our guest tonight. I think that's exactly what it is. And so they're kind of friends. There was Jim earlier for Miss Coach Andal. And so they know each other pretty good. He goes back to that area in South Dakota every once in a while. So great dude. I love Scott. He's one of the funnest coaches, loves his team, loves his athletes, and he always gets them prepared. It's insane. He could have a kid that is just out of the blue, but they shine. He has a method of getting those guys prepared come state, and they have done really well. And he's respected in the state. He's involved in a lot of the committees. He knows what's going on. I kind of wanted to hear anything that might have been going crazy in the state, but he was had a short amount of time. He had a huge South Dakota coaches meeting tonight. Wednesday's kind of their open night too for them, kind of like me. It's easy to get on.
Yep.
And okay, last questions for anybody out there as we've hit this time. So if you have a question real quick, I'll stay on for about 30 seconds. You can type one in for us about the state tournament. Anything I can answer, feel free. And Bill? When are you taking off tomorrow morning?
Before you get up. I'll get chores done in the morning, be on the road by 7, I'm guessing. Hopefully be there pretty close to starting time.
Mr. Blair, thanks for the news. Navarro's got the 1 seed out of the east side of the state, and he's got a great shot to make the finals. And he's down to 113 again. He wrestled 120 all year, and he cut down to
120.
He cut down to 1, and he's a big. I thought he was a big 20 pounder, so he's cut down, and he's got a legitimate shot. It's a 13 and 20. 20 and 13 have 2 number 1 guys pretty much in the nation going D1 out to Michigan, the Tanafus. So if he can beat a Tanafu, it would be one heck of a victory if they can make the finals. I'd like to see that match, but they're on opposite sides of the bracket. So usually I would consider him the 2 seed because no one's going to take Tanafu's 1, but they did a 1 versus the East and West, and he's in the East and Tanafu's in the West, Bill. So, or Thomas Blair. Yep. Mr. Blair. But he's definitely looked good. I've been impressed. He's come around, and you can definitely see he's got some talent. Yep, so that's pretty good. Any other things? I saw we had a lot of people on again tonight. Last night's feed, you know what we had for the bracket stuff? We had over 1,000 some people watch that thing last night.
Awesome.
For a normal show, that's pretty good. People are excited to see those brackets, and we don't have a lot of changes. I know we had some coaches saying there's going to be some changes or some email, but when I went to the meeting tonight, the brackets were froze unless there was a change. They weren't going to go in and reseed anything. And they did talk about the 106. That's one thing I want to say before I go. The 106, it was all based on criteria. And once they froze the bracket, then they got to 126, and they almost had another situation like the 6. And that would have been where the second guy, because of the criteria, would have been the 1 seed over another guy. And they refused to do it. The coach refused to have his JV guy beat the 1 seed because it was based on record and type things in the East. And he said, well, he should be. And he goes, no, I'm not going to allow it. He's not my best kid. So then, we need to open up 6 again, one of the Bismarck High coaches. And they said, no, it's froze. You should have thought about it. If you really wanted to fight about it and say, guess what, your kid doesn't deserve it, it's the other way around, you should have said it at 6. Right. That's what kind of happened there. That's what I heard, at least. That's how the coaches explained it to me, because I was not there, but that's what they told me. I did talk to Randy Berwick. He's excited and ready to go. But there is a link there for the state booklet. Again, I'm going to then, Bill, any last words?
No more.
Okay.
Nope.
We're good. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Guys, it's I'm happy. We're here, state wrestling tournament. promote the sport still. We got lots of wrestling coming in the future. We'll talk to you guys later.